Chapter 91 Gu E takes action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Odin, are we heading to the atrium now? Frigga asked, approaching him. Odin, on the verge of rushing to Earth to confront the evil god, paused, a thought striking him. Actually, no. There's someone on Earth who's more than capable of handling this. Odin was immediately reminded of the Ancient One. With her presence, his intervention wouldn't be necessary. Meanwhile, viewers from across the multiverse were stunned, caught off guard by the sudden turn of events. Chopper, what the heck is going on? Why did the statue turn into that? Luffy, Brook. That thing looks just like you. Brook, seriously? Is it a long-lost relative? No way. Jiraiya, has the seal been broken? Diana, looks like it. That evil god statue is actually a container for the seal. The statue absorbed enough life force to finally break free. Bruce Wayne, you know a lot. Impressive. Diana, now isn't the time for compliments. Piccolo, those two are toast. Feng Yuan, no. What are we going to do? Zhangguo, isn't there a god named Odin in the Marvel Universe? If he steps in, he should be able to deal with it. Zhu Xingtuan, not necessarily. He's not exactly obligated to help. Odin. Tony and Natasha exchanged worried glances. They never imagined they'd witness something like this. Evil gods breaking free from seals were the stuff of stories, not real life. I gotta say, the seal-breaking scenes in movies had more pizzazz, Tony quipped, trying to lighten the mood. Now's not the time for jokes, Natasha snapped, her face grim, her hands clenched tight to mask their anxious sweat. Sir, this thing's energy signature is off the charts. Even the Mark armor at full power wouldn't stand a chance, Jarvis warned Tony. I can see that, Jarvis, Tony muttered, feeling the weight of the situation. So, this is Earth. It's different from the Earth I know. More backward. And blessedly free of those pesky heroes. The evil god sneered, eyeing the surrounding buildings. Tony and Natasha exchanged a knowing look. They must be at the Stark shelter. You are privileged to witness my resurrection. And I must say, your performance has been adequate. Pledge yourselves as my first loyal followers, and I will grant you power and riches beyond your wildest dreams. The evil god fixed his gaze on Tony and Natasha, extending his offer. Sorry, not a joiner when it comes to weird cults. And I'm actually richer than you are. Got any money to spare? Does alien currency even work here? But even in this dire situation, Tony couldn't resist a sarcastic jab. The evil god's eyes narrowed at Tony's words, and the air around him dropped several degrees. You should know you are in no position to speak to me in that manner. The evil god glared at Tony, his voice dripping with malice. A shiver ran down Tony's spine, despite the armor's warming systems. He could feel the chill seeping in. Yeah, well, you should be in a museum. And frankly, I'm not in the mood for museums. No sooner had the words left Tony's mouth than the evil god's eyes blazed, unleashing an invisible force that slammed into Tony, sending him flying backwards. He crashed into a restaurant over 20 yards away. Sir, armor integrity is down to 11%. Combat capabilities are severely compromised. Jarvis reported frantically. Yeah, I'm getting that feeling. Tony sputtered, as sparks flew around him, the situation critical. Natasha's eyes widened in horror as she watched Tony get knocked out. She hadn't even seen it happen. A thick fog of darkness began to swirl around them. The evil god seemed to grow taller, more menacing. The evil god loomed over Natasha like a giant, his gaze cold and condescending. So, what is your answer? Natasha found herself speechless, her throat felt constricted, and she couldn't utter a sound. A bone-chilling cold racked her body, making her tremble uncontrollably. The fear she had long suppressed surged back, overwhelming her. In that moment, she felt utterly insignificant. Natasha started to sink to her knees, as if in supplication, but just as her knees were about to touch the ground, she swiftly retrieved the Zora mask and slapped it onto her face. A swarm of black shadow ninjas erupted behind the evil god, claws bared, ready to attack. But before the shadow warriors could even touch him, they were frozen in mid-air by an unseen force, unable to move. Then, with a sickening crunch, they were crushed into black smoke, dissipating into nothing. Interesting, life formed from shadows. I underestimated you, woman. But you have earned my ire. With that, the evil god extended a dark tentacle from beneath him, wrapping it around Natasha in an instant. A slight squeeze elicited a scream of pain from Natasha, her bones creaked and groaned, threatening to snap. Swish! A barrage of projectiles flew towards the evil god, along with a swarm of mini-missiles, but with a mere glance, the evil god caused them to explode harmlessly in mid-air. Tony, in his launch position, was sent hurtling toward the evil god, unable to resist the pull. No matter which universe they come from, they're all so irritating. Since they refuse to cooperate, then they shall become my sustenance. As the evil god spoke, the black mist resurfaced, swirling around his body. Tony and Natasha's eyes widened in terror. They had witnessed what happened to those engulfed by that mist, but even with that knowledge, resistance was futile. Watching the scene unfold on screen, others felt their hearts leap into their throats. Some couldn't bear to watch what would happen next. No one looked more distressed than Nick Fury. Natasha was his top agent, and Tony Stark was a valuable potential recruit. He couldn't afford to lose them. He frantically barked orders into the intercom, demanding backup, although he knew any reinforcements would likely meet the same fate. I'm sorry, guest from another universe, but I cannot allow you to run amok here. Just as the evil god's black mist was about to engulf Natasha and Tony, a gentle female voice echoed through the air, followed by a blinding flash of golden lightning. Chapter 92, Activate the Time Gem and Regress the Evil God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom! A blast of golden lightning vaporized the evil god, scattering its essence. The shockwave ripped through the black mist, sending Tony and Natasha flying. Ugh, what the heck just happened? Tony groaned, pushing himself up, bewildered. Where did that lightning come from? Hello, Stark. While this might be our first face-to-face, I've been watching you for a while. A woman in white robes, bald and holding a folding fan, floated down, a gentle smile gracing her lips. Who are you? And why do you sound like a stalker? Tony asked, confused. We've been expecting each other. My name is the Ancient One. Indeed, it was the Ancient One herself. As a guardian against dimensional threats, she wasn't about to let some interdimensional baddie run amok on her watch. The Ancient One. You're the Ancient One, the supposed sorcerer from the documentaries, Natasha exclaimed, shocked. We can catch up later. We need to deal with this mess first. The Ancient One turned her gaze to the evil god, who was struggling to his feet, her expression hardening. She couldn't help but be surprised. Taking a hit from a boss-level thunder attack without more damage was impressive. How dare you injure me? The evil god roared, its blood-red eyes blazing. A wave of deadly black mist erupted from its body, surging towards the Ancient One. The Ancient One calmly formed a circular shield with her hands, then thrust them forward, unleashing a powerful gust of wind that pushed back the black mist. She actually managed to dissipate the darkness. Pressing her advantage, she merged the two circular formations into a blazing wheel of fire that hurtled towards the evil god. The evil god countered by spitting a beam of red energy that detonated the fiery halo in mid-air. Undeterred by the intense heat and scattering sparks, it waved its hands, dispersing the remnants of the explosion. Everyone watching these displays of magic was stunned. Luffy, whoa. What kind of move was that? Nick Fury, is that magic? Mordo, yes, that is the power of the mystic arts of Kamartage. Nobita, so cool. Can I learn that too? Mordo, well, I don't know what your magic book is like, but you should be able to learn it if you work hard. Nobita, then I'll study really hard. Luffy, can you teach me? I want to learn, too. It looks like fun. Wong, magic isn't a game. Sun Wukong, this magic seems different from the ones I know, it's kind of interesting. Tsunade, it's a little similar to ninjutsu's elemental manipulations. While everyone was commenting, the Ancient One and the Evil God traded blows, each showcasing remarkable magical techniques. As expected of an evil god. "You're pretty tough," that the Ancient One frowned, studying her opponent. Even though she hadn't fully unleashed her power, the evil god seemed to be holding its own with ease. It didn't appear to be at its full strength. She wondered how it would compare to the fully realized evil gods from other dimensions. A thaumaturge. "There's thaumaturgy in this world, too," that the evil god exclaimed, surprised by the Ancient One's abilities. "But your power isn't native to this world. Your thaumaturgy originates elsewhere." The evil god had caught on to something and eyed the Ancient One suspiciously. "Thaumaturgy? Is that what they call magic in the SCP Foundation world?" that the Ancient One mused upon hearing the term, but dismissed it, focusing on how to eliminate the threat quickly. "Whoever you are, you won't stop me," that the evil god roared, unleashing another torrent of life-draining black mist, and lunged at the Ancient One with blinding speed, ready to unleash a devastating assault. "I'm sorry, but this world isn't yours to take." The Ancient One spoke calmly as she opened the Eye of Agamotto, the time stone glowing brightly within. Odin, watching from afar, gasped. "That's it. The Ancient One's trump card." Odin's composure shattered as he sucked in a breath. Alarmed, the Ancient One was now enveloped in black mist, the evil god closing in. "Thank you for your resurrection, but you belong as a statue. That's where you thrive." With a knowing smirk, the Ancient One manipulated her hands. A green, glowing time dial materialized, enveloping the evil god. The dial's hands began to spin counterclockwise, incredibly fast. The once menacing evil god was suddenly being forced backward in time. Both the black mist and its own movements were irresistibly rewinding. As the pointer moved faster and faster, the evil god's appearance began to change. Its body shrank, continuously emitting black mist that spread out, then returned to its source. Those who had been corpses were now carrying out their daily tasks as if nothing had ever happened. Finally, the hands of the dial stopped, and the evil god reverted to its original statue form. It was as if the entire ordeal had never occurred. "Turns out you can't escape the constraints of time. That makes this easy." The Ancient One smirked, relieved, but there was also luck involved. Who knew how powerful this evil god was in his prime? The Ancient One turned her attention to Tony Stark and Natasha. The two stared at her as if they'd seen a ghost. It wasn't just them. Viewers across the multiverse were equally stunned. "Strange, hold on. What just happened? Why did the evil god turn back into a statue, and the dead people come back to life?" "Wong, this is the power of the Eye of Agamotto. It can control time." Bruce Wayne, you can control time itself. How is that even possible? "Odin, it's possible with that artifact. That magical weapon is a top-tier artifact capable of manipulating time." Sanji, what? You can control time? That's terrifying. Robin, this reminds me, there was a devil fruit in the devil fruit illustration book. It seems to be a time travel one, but I can't remember if it could be controlled. Waring states, wait a minute, I just saw your time acting on that evil god. Why were those people resurrected as well? Ancient One, it's a matter of cause and effect. Those people died as a result of the evil god's resurrection. By reverting the evil god's time to before its resurrection, I undid the cause and effect of the sacrifices. Thus, they returned to life. Bruce Wayne, cause and effect can be altered. That's truly frightening. Diana, wouldn't that make you invincible? No matter how powerful the enemy, you could just go back in time to avoid it. Ancient One, Ms. Diana, that's a clever idea, but time is not to be trifled with. Time involves cause and effect. Careless manipulation can lead to grave consequences. Luffy, huh? What do you mean? I don't get it. Chapter 93 Distributing Rewards, Independent Magic Source. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Doryman, okay, I get it. It's the butterfly effect. Messing with the past can easily create an even bigger mess in the future. Jiraiya, not necessarily. Changing some things in the past could definitely be a good thing. Doryman, maybe, but think about it. Say you spill your favorite drink. You're bummed and want to go back in time to drink it. Fine for you, but what if that spilled drink just put out a tiny spark that would have grown into a huge fire? Nami, is it really that complicated? Doraemon, totally. It's super hard to control how the future changes. What you think is good could actually be bad in the long run. Ancient One, Doraemon, thank you for explaining. What you're saying makes perfect sense. You seem to have a lot of experience with this. Doraemon, you bet. Back in robot school, our teachers drilled into us how serious messing with the past is. And Nobita here changed the past a bunch of times and caused all sorts of problems. Nobita, hey. Don't air my dirty laundry. Tony Stark, wait a sec. Robot school. Robots go to school. Doraemon, yeah, how else would I learn stuff? Tony Stark, no way. Wouldn't it be easier to just download all the knowledge straight into a robot's brain? Why bother with school? Doraemon, well, it's about learning how to get along with humans and understand the world. You have to work hard to learn and think for yourself to become a really great robot. Tony Stark, you're saying a good robot needs to learn on its own? Tony was stunned. This blew his mind. Was that even necessary? Meanwhile, in Leo's world, Zhu Hashiden stared at the screen, shocked. He couldn't believe humans in another universe could control time. It was terrifying. Even the Kingdom of Light's technology couldn't do that. This can't be underestimated. Learning to control magic. Zhu Hashiden thought, glancing at the Red Sea disc in his pocket. He decided to keep it with him, just in case. Actually, better not to. He quickly dismissed the idea, not wanting to risk anything worse happening. In the One Piece world, Sengoku watched the screen, his eyes gleaming. If you could turn back time, if we had that, we could turn Whitebeard into a baby. Sengoku believed this power had huge strategic value, even though it wasn't obtainable in their world, but he remembered Robin mentioning a time-traveling fruit in the Devil Fruit illustrated book. Could someone already control time? He resolved to investigate further. In the Naruto world, Jiraiya eyed the Ancient One's eye of Agamotto, filled with desire. If he had that, he could bring Minato back. He didn't care about the consequences. It wasn't just for him, but for Naruto. In the DC universe, Bruce Wayne thought of his parents' murder and how it had defined his life. He wanted to change it all, and now he saw a potential way. Too bad they were in different universes. If I could get it, I would, no matter the cost. Bruce Wayne clenched his fists. Back in the Marvel Universe, Ancient One opened a portal and tossed the evil god statue to Kamatage on the other side. I'm guessing that's your base. Natasha immediately asked. It is. Thinking of going undercover. Ancient One smiled at Natasha, making her feel guilty. She wasn't about to mess with someone who could control time. This statue is too dangerous. Our mages can keep it safe. It's what we do best. Ancient One stated confidently. Tony just shrugged, not daring to argue. Time for the rewards. The screen announced. The eyes of the three widened with anticipation. Congratulations to the Marvel Universe for successfully containing the evil god statue and the Death Star. Rewards will be distributed to Ancient One, Tony Stark, and Natasha. Ancient One receives an independent magic source. Tony Stark receives the Void Engine. Natasha receives 300 grams of CPH-4. As the announcement ended, a ball of light appeared before Ancient One. Her eyes widened. She sensed incredibly powerful magical energy, far greater than her own. Meanwhile, Tony's mind was flooded with information, giving him a splitting headache. He clutched his head. Void Engine activating, binding host, Tony Stark, locking secondary biological dark plane. Additional functions, dark energy reading, super soldier gene pool access, primary matter definition, primary concept rewriting. Unfamiliar terms filled Tony's mind, only worsening his headache. He had no idea what any of it meant. Natasha, on the other hand, calmly examined the extra blue pellets in their packaging. What kind of drug is this? Natasha wondered about CPH-4, having never heard of it before. The independent magic source contains vast magical energy, designed for mages to practice. Placing it in a location creates a unique magic source in that area, establishing a connection so you can draw on its power, no matter how far away you are. The magic source will constantly regenerate, preventing depletion. The screen began explaining the rewards. Ancient One was initially surprised, then awestruck. By the independent magic source, she knew better than anyone what magic sources were. The magic power of Kamataja's mages wasn't self-taught. They would be mere apprentices if they had to rely on their own training. Instead, to quickly boost their strength, Kamataja's mages made contracts with Emperor Wei Shan, borrowing their magic power. Ancient One herself contracted with several demon gods from other dimensions, drawing upon their power to achieve her current strength. This method offered rapid improvement, but at a cost. After using a demon's power a certain number of times, their bodies would develop serious problems, nightmares, loss of taste, incurable diseases, and more. Any one of these could cause a lifetime of suffering. Even Emperor Wei Shan, the ancestor of Kamataj, exacted a price, though it was typically less severe than that of other demons. Chapter 94. The Void Engine is online, developing 30% of the brain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But there's always a breaking point. If Ancient One can't handle the cost of wielding a demon god's power, she's done for. That's why she's been sticking to hand-to-hand combat, avoiding magic whenever possible. And when she does use it, she prefers free, elemental magic, but now, this constant worry for Ancient One might just have a solution. Wait, what's a void engine? Tony blurted out. His mind was reeling, filled with new concepts that could blow any scientist's mind. The void engine is like a supercomputer from the super god universe. It can reshape reality through coding. If you have enough knowledge and coding skills, you can analyze anything and pull off insane feats, bend reality, teleport, mess with people's minds. The possibilities are endless. Tony's eyes went wide. The idea of changing the world with code was mind-blowing. Then, a look of pure excitement washed over him. As a top scientist, he instantly grasped the potential, using knowledge and coding to reshape reality. This was practically designed for him. Tony knew he was one of the best scientists and programmers on the planet. With this, he could finally make his wildest ideas a reality. Maybe I can build plasma cannons, giant robots, even stuff from Doraemon, that he couldn't help but think. CPH4 is a special drug from another universe. Inhaling it can unlock 30% of your brain's potential, boosting your abilities beyond human limits. It used to have a dangerous side effect, physical collapse, but our rewards can cancel that out. Natasha's eyebrows shot up. Was this a superpower pill? What? 30% brain capacity? Tony practically screamed, and even Ancient One looked surprised. Even Einstein only used about 10% of his brain. If you hit 30%, you're not just a genius, you're practically superhuman. As a scientist, Tony understood the implications. Most people barely used 5% of their brain. This drug could unlock 30%. That was terrifying. What would someone with 30% brain function even be capable of? Natasha took a deep breath. CPH4 was indeed a scary proposition. What would happen if she took it? She hesitated, worried about losing her humanity, but then she thought about the terrifying evil god, the dangerous artifacts, that had appeared. She had thought that as a top agent, she could handle most crises, but faced with that kind of power, she felt helpless. She felt death looming just moments ago, and she knew she had no defense. All right, let's do it. Natasha inhaled the CPH4 without another thought. Ancient One and Tony, caught off guard by her decision, could only watch. No one knew what would happen next. Ugh, hi, Natasha clutched her head, collapsing to the floor. Her body shook, sweat pouring off her as if she were burning from the inside. Hey! Are you okay? Tony rushed to her side, concerned. He wanted to help but didn't know what to do. Oh. Why don't we try the void engine while she's in pain, eh? Is that what it's called? Tony began manipulating the void engine, quickly getting the hang of it with his incredible intellect. Importing host data, Tony Stark. Activating Void Engine. Introducing Genetic Warrior System, Dark Plane System, Micro Wormhole Algorithm, and Advanced Cosmic Computing. Calculating frame number 8. Now parsing subject, Natasha Romanoff. 20% analysis, 40% analysis, 70% analysis, 100% analysis. Subject is experiencing accelerated brain development. Over 20 billion neurons are mobilizing and evolving. What? Evolution. That's what 30% brain capacity looks like. Tony was astonished, he was eager to see what Natasha would become. Ugh hi, finally, Natasha stopped convulsing, gasping for breath. Hey, you alright? Tony asked anxiously. Suddenly, Natasha jumped up, leaping incredibly high before landing gracefully. Tony and Ancient One stared in disbelief. Natasha turned to them and said, Stark, the blood vessels in your head are throbbing. You haven't slept in 72 hours. If you don't rest, you're going to have a blood vessel burst. Huh? Tony was stunned. Jarvis had told him the same thing, but he dismissed it, thinking he had more important things to do. How could Natasha know? Then, Natasha addressed Ancient One, and your body has more issues than I thought. Your sleep quality is terrible, you have serious digestive problems, and, well, there are other things, but I won't get into those for privacy reasons. Ancient One's expression changed. Could she really see all the problems caused by wielding dark energy? Have you awakened any superpowers? Ancient One asked. I think my senses are sharper. My brain is processing information faster. I can see the underlying meaning behind things. As Natasha spoke, her body began to flicker like sand. Tony rubbed his eyes, thinking he was hallucinating from sleep deprivation, but when he looked again, Natasha's body had dissolved into particles, then reassembled, into the shape of Tony Stark. Chapter 95 Amazing Ability, Reissue Rhodes Reward. You are listening at novelfull.audio. He. Tony freaked out seeing Natasha become like him, like he'd seen a ghost. Then Natasha transformed into the Ancient One, then back to herself. How's it going? Tony asked, his head about to explode. I feel like I can manipulate every molecule in my body and rearrange it any way I want. Natasha said, seeing her body as just a pile of countless molecules. Tony and the Ancient One were stunned. Hold on, I feel like my head's overloaded with information. Give me a sec, Natasha said, covering her head. Her senses were off the charts, receiving tons of information at once. She could process it fast, but still needed to adjust. Suddenly, Natasha waved her hand, and a nearby car flew into the air. Then she tossed it aside. Mind control? Nah, feels more like manipulating gravity. The Ancient One's pupils dilated slightly. Beep beep beep. Natasha's phone rang. She picked it up, but instead of answering, she swiped a couple of fingers across the screen. Text appeared out of thin air. Caller, Nick Fury. Natasha saw countless electromagnetic waves coming from the phone, and different colored waves all around. Hello. What's up? Tony couldn't see what Natasha was doing. His own phone rang. I can see electromagnetic waves directly. I can see the info being sent by the device and who's calling. As Natasha spoke, radio waves streamed down Tony's phone. She saw the caller, Pepper, and a bunch of spam texts. It's your secretary, answer it. You've also got a ton of spam, some of it pretty interesting. Natasha answered her phone. Tony was a mess, checking his phone to see if what Natasha said was true. Romanoff, what's going on? Fury, hold up. Nick Fury was about to ask about Natasha when she cut him off. Nick Fury was confused. I can see what's happening at S.H.I.E.L.D., through your eyes. The S.H.I.E.L.D. situation flashed in Natasha's mind, agents running around. What? Nick Fury trembled, looking around. I'm connected to your brainwaves through my phone. I can see S.H.I.E.L.D. through you and read your thoughts. Want me to tell you what you're thinking? Cold sweat dripped down Nick Fury's back. what kind of superpower was this? Connecting to brainwaves through a phone, seeing shield, and reading minds. With all the powers Natasha had shown, Nick Fury was floored. Then came elation. The stronger Natasha was, the better for shield. Natasha, no need to say more, get back here ASAP. Nick Fury urged her to return. Got it. Natasha hung up and looked at Tony. I'm out. Oh, and there's something off about your armor design. You should change it. Natasha revealed details about the Mark armor that Tony hadn't even noticed, making his skin crawl. Was this what happened when you unlocked 30% of your brain? Not just a genius, but also with all these powers. Did humans really have this kind of potential? The Ancient One was equally shocked. She thought she was at the peak of human potential, but seeing Natasha, she was blown away. Does the human brain hide that much? Or is it just from that drug, that the Ancient One wondered? Tony looked at her. See ya, Stark. The Ancient One opened a portal and returned to Kamartaj. Do all women have superpowers these days? Tony muttered, watching Natasha get on the plane. Whatever, even if you unlock 30% of your brain, I'm still a genius. I can do it too. Tony returned to his conceited thoughts. He wanted to fly to the Quinjet, but remembered his power was out and dragged the heavy suit towards the plane. Luckily, Natasha didn't want to wait. She released a wave of energy that enveloped Tony and pulled him onto the plane. Romanov, the pilots, we should. Coulson stammered. Natasha felt different now. Don't worry, I got this. Just gotta control the electromagnetic waves. Natasha's pupils dilated, the Quinjet's control panel lit up, the hatch closed, and the engines ignited. No one was at the controls, but it flew perfectly. Coulson and Tony were speechless. Oh, and the screen missed someone's reward. It's James Rhodes. The screen announced. Tony was surprised. Rhodes got a reward too. Oh yeah, he did help knock out the Death Star. How could they forget about the screen? Tony thought to himself. Now James Rhodes' reward is being reissued, the Crystal Vine missile launcher. In the universe of contained objects, there is a kind of contained object called crystal vine, which is a huge crystal built into tree vines. It has a particularly terrifying anomaly, that is, it will automatically explode and scatter the fragments. Spread around. When the fragments of the crystal vine touch any material creature, they will assimilate the thing they touched into crystal. Then 2 hours later, they will explode again, spreading the fragments repeatedly, infecting more substances and assimilating into crystal. Crystal. The hardness of the crystal vines is beyond imagination, and it is difficult to be destroyed by ordinary means. Even if it is successfully destroyed, the small fragments can assimilate other substances. Fortunately, the crystal vines cannot affect quartz, so the Containment Association used quartz to make a cage to trap all the crystal vines. Vines to prevent their spread. Subsequently, the Containment Association developed a crystal vine missile based on the characteristics of the crystal vine. After the missile hits the enemy, it will erupt into countless crystal vine fragments and assimilate the enemy. At the same time, a large amount of quartz material is released to control the spread of the crystal vine. Chapter 96 Developing Brain Potential. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After hearing the words on the screen, Tony Stark's eyes lit up. He's always been fascinated by cutting-edge weaponry, so, hearing about something like the Jingman missile, he was immediately intrigued. Hey, can you track down Rhodes? I'm dying to check out his new toy, Tony requested instantly. Sure, but make it quick. Natasha agreed. No sweat. Just have him fly over and join the party. Tony grabbed his phone and dialed. Hey, Rhodey, it's me. Tony. What the heck? I heard this weird sound, and then this multi-launcher thingy appeared at my feet. Before Tony could even speak, Rhodes was already freaking out. The noise from the screen and the sudden appearance of the weapon had clearly spooked him. Hey, relax, Rhodey. I'm coming to get you. I'll send you my location. Grab your weapon, fly over, and we'll head to S.H.I.E.L.D. to run some tests. Tony immediately tried to calm him down. Rhodes agreed immediately. After Tony ended the call, he glanced at the screen. While he was distracted, a ton of messages had flooded in. Bruce Wayne, Void Engine, World Algorithm. What are those? And how did Natasha suddenly unlock so many powers? Diana, this is frightening. Changing her appearance, intercepting electromagnetic waves to snoop, reading minds through electromagnetic waves, even through devices. This is way beyond human capability. Barton, Natasha's got all these abilities. With her ability to intercept information and read minds, she basically knows everyone's secrets. Tony Stark, okay, settle down, everyone. Let me break it down for you. First off, the Void Engine is a coding program that analyzes reality. The deeper you go, the crazier stuff you can do. I'll drop an Easter egg here, I'll explain later. Tony Stark, as for the changes in our favorite redhead, it's because she unlocked 30% of her brain's potential and triggered superpowers. Zhu Xingtuan, how can anyone get such crazy powers just from unlocking 30% of their brain? Naruto, what does 30% unlocked even mean? Tony Stark, huh? You guys aren't familiar with the brain's mystery. Scientific research shows that we only use about 5% of our brain. The best scientists might hit 10%, tops, and the rest is dormant. Tony Stark, if you could unlock the rest of that potential, human intelligence would skyrocket. The more you unlock, the more you evolve into something completely new. Zoro, less than 10%. No wonder I'm always tired. Sanji, that's just you, you lazy bum. Nobita, seriously? No wonder I'm so slow, my brain must be barely awake. Doraemon, can't argue with that. Warring states, so, how do we unlock more brain potential? If we unlock enough, we could gain abilities and evolve like Natasha. Natasha, not necessarily. I unlocked it thanks to a drug called CPH4. I don't know if other methods would produce the same results. Luffy, what about people in our worlds who train to unlock powers? Is that brain development too? Bruce Wayne, doesn't count. Brain development is mostly about improving intelligence. You're just building muscle. Sun Wukong, speaking of which, are alien brains already maxed out? Tony Stark, I have no clue. Haven't had the chance to dissect an alien cranium yet. Warring states, either way, this is worth exploring. Besides that drug, are there any other ways to unlock brain potential? Tony Stark, first, you need to know your baseline. In my world, we use advanced equipment to analyze brain neurons microscopically. The human brain has something like 80 billion neurons and synapses. The more that are active, the more developed your brain is. Tony Stark, as for how to unlock them, the current best method is using sound or electromagnetic waves to resonate with the neurons and wake them up. Tony Stark keeps throwing out technical terms, trying to explain brain development. Most people are completely lost. Some can't wrap their heads around such complex information. Luffy, I understood none of that. Tsunade, way too complicated. 80 billion neurons. What even are those, and how can anyone count that high? And what microscopic devices? Jiraiya, I wonder if I could see them with the Rinnegan. Natasha, I advise against just randomly trying to unlock your brain potential. It has side effects. Natasha's sudden warning has everyone confused. Loki, human woman, are you lying to prevent competition? Natasha, please, I'm not that petty. Just trying to be helpful. Natasha, the more you unlock your brain's potential, the more processing power you get, which requires more energy. If you overdo it, your body won't be able to handle the strain and will shut down. Natasha, think of it like an engine. The engine is the heart of a car or ship, but it needs to work with the other parts. If the engine is too powerful and the other parts are too old, the car will break down before it even starts. The engine will fry everything. Natasha, the reason I'm okay is because the screen's medicine addressed that issue, but I do feel my energy draining rapidly. At worst, I'll be super hungry, but it's not life-threatening. Hearing Natasha's warning, the people from other worlds are stunned. They hadn't realized brain development could be so dangerous. Luffy, no wonder I eat so much. I must have a super-developed brain. Nami, I highly doubt that's related. Sun Wukong, I eat a lot too. Piccolo, that has nothing to do with being smart. Akainu, thanks for the heads up, but as long as it's beneficial, we're going to pursue research. Chapter 97, Placing the Magic Source. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On a marine ship in the One Piece world, Akainu contacted Sengoku via Den Mushi. Marshal, he said, I think this brain potential research is worth pursuing. The Marines need more firepower. Akainu clenched his fists, impressed by Natasha's superpowers. While he believed he was stronger, her abilities were enough to gather intelligence worldwide. He wondered what other abilities could be developed and how it would affect Devil Fruits. Agreed. Maybe we should consult Vegapunk, Sengoku replied, concurring with Akainu. The world situation was unstable, and the containment threat loomed. More ways to improve combat power were always welcome. Sengoku wondered if Vegapunk's genius stemmed from advanced brain development and if he could unlock more of the human brain's potential. He didn't doubt their physical abilities could handle the energy requirements. In the Naruto world, Tsunade and Jiraiya considered the possibilities of brain potential development. Can your Rinnegan see neurons? Tsunade asked. Worth a shot. Jiraiya activated his Rinnegan, which possessed the Byakugan's abilities, allowing him to see the human body structure and nerve distribution clearly. Pinpointing neurons was more difficult. He focused, enhancing the Rinnegan's observation to see them. I think I see something, densely packed. He noticed tiny dots on Tsunade's head, mostly dim with a few brighter ones. Are those brain neurons? There are a lot of them. He moved closer for a better look. Okay, you've seen enough. Tsunade pushed him away, blushing. Jiraiya's closeness had made her self-conscious. Meanwhile, in Doraemon's world, Nobita, upon learning about brain potential, begged Doraemon to help him develop his own. Doraemon. I want to develop my brain potential too. Help me. I want to be smarter. He shook Doraemon. Don't ask the impossible. Even in the 22nd century, brain potential is a tough nut to crack. I can't help you. Doraemon pushed Nobita away, dismissing the idea. In the Leo universe, Feng Yuan approached Commander Zhu Xingdan. Captain, what do you think about our brain development? Not sure, Zhu Xingdan admitted. Even the Land of Light hadn't fully explored brain potential. He didn't know the extent to which Earthlings and Ultraman's brains were developed. Should we research it? Feng Yuan suggested. Zhu Xingdan shook his head. Not right now. We don't have the right conditions. Besides, if something goes wrong, it's a mess. Let's shelve it. Feng Yuan agreed, seeing the logic. Back in the Marvel universe, at Kamartaj, the Ancient One placed the evil god statue in the center of the courtyard after returning. This statue can't move unless someone is watching it, so the evil god inside stays put. With people constantly passing through, anyone can keep an eye on it. She decided against sealing it, preferring public vigilance. Still, someone should keep watch, Strange suggested. Agreed. The Ancient One designated shifts for guards. Then, she produced the magic source, brimming with energy. Is that a standalone magic source? Mordo exclaimed, awestruck by the immense power. The Ancient One threw the magic source into the air, where it floated. Buzz 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 buzz. The magic source emitted dazzling light and strange sound waves, unleashing a fountain of magic energy. The next second, Kamartaj was bathed in vibrant, colorful light. The ground trembled, apprentices frantically raised shields for protection, the shaking stopped, and calm returned. Kamartaj's landscape had dramatically changed, colorful lasers filled the sky, with motes of light drifting down, creating a breathtaking scene. What a massive amount of magic energy, Wang marveled, feeling the abundance of magic particles in the air. The Ancient One opened a portal and released a bolt of lightning to shatter a distant boulder. What incredible power! Mordo exclaimed. He used to need time to prepare lightning magic, but now he could unleash it instantly. Master Ancient One, with all this magical energy, we don't need to make deals with demon gods. We can use any magic directly. Wang said excitedly. He knew many spells but had always avoided those requiring demon god contracts due to the price. This change was a game changer. Wang, don't jump the gun, the Ancient One cautioned, surprising him. We contract with demon gods not just for power, but also for their specific spells. Each demon god's magic has different effects. If we rely solely on camouflage magic, we can't replicate their power. So, do we still need to make contracts? Mordo asked. Not for now. With this magic source and our knowledge, we can develop camouflage's own magic. We can always contract with a demon god if we face an overwhelming enemy in the future. The Ancient One's calm words resonated with everyone. Developing their own magic was an exciting prospect. If they succeeded, they would become the founders of a new magical tradition. Chapter 98. The prediction comes to an end for the time being, their respective developments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even the Ancient One couldn't help but smile, picturing a future where she developed her own magic, unshackled from deals with devils and the prices they demanded. But she paused, hearing a voice in the distance. So you noticed that quickly, that before anyone could react, she shot into the sky, leaving the sanctum and returning to her private chamber. There, she sat and entered a meditative trance. So, you're afraid I won't need to bargain with you anymore, that the Ancient One spoke aloud, though she was the only one physically present. Her words were directed elsewhere. Within her meditative space, she stood amidst a vast starry sky, facing three immense heads, their forms and size difficult to comprehend. One was male, another female, and the third resembled a beast. These were the Vishanti, the Trinity who founded Camouflage white magic. We know Camouflage now has its own magic source. You can't just abandon our arrangement, the male head boomed. Yes, you can't fuel all your spells solely from that source, the female head added. The Ancient One remained calm, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. She calmly waved a fan. Don't worry, I won't sever our connection entirely. However, I'll use your magic as little as possible. Once I discover I can achieve the same effect without drawing on your power, I may never call on you again. The three heads fell silent, considering her words. In the past, they would have dismissed this as arrogance. Magic requires energy, and Earth lacked the reserves to fuel truly powerful spells. That's why so many magicians sought pacts with entities like them, but now, Camouflage possessed an independent magic source, a vast reservoir of energy residing outside conventional magical dimensions. This threatened to make Camouflage self-sufficient, severing their reliance on the Vishanti. That was unacceptable. They still needed the wizards of Camouflage to borrow their power, eventually paying a price, with their souls returning to enhance the Vishanti's strength. If they could physically reach Earth, they would have dealt with the Ancient One directly long ago. We're willing to renegotiate the cost, the male had finally offered. The Ancient One smiled. Meanwhile, on the streets of Brooklyn, the emergence of the Death Star and the evil god statue had resulted in numerous casualties. The local police were quickly overwhelmed, and SHIELD agents stepped in to secure the area and begin the investigation. Nearby, Xie Yun breathed a sigh of relief. Phew, that was close. I almost got caught up in that mess. He gazed out his window, shaken. The evil god statue had materialized just blocks away, momentarily terrifying him into thinking he would finally have to put his abilities to use after arriving in the Marvel Universe. Thankfully, the Ancient One had intervened. Containment objects, evil god statue, Death Star, and Red Sea disk successfully contained. Reward issued to host, Xie Yun. Goldfinger's voice echoed in his mind. Host Xie Yun has gained the ability to freely travel to the Red Sea world. By passing through any reflective surface like a mirror, he can enter that dimension. The Death Star curse allows you to inflict sudden death on a target. But be warned, if cursing a loved one in peril, the price is your own life. The evil god statue grants you the ability to sense the specific location of anyone who has seen it. As Goldfinger detailed the new abilities, Xie Yun felt a surge of information flooding his mind, and a subtle shift within his very being. Seriously? That's it? 3 rewards, and the death curse is arguably the only useful one. Why would I want to visit the Red Sea? And track down random people who've seen a statue? Ugh. He was thoroughly underwhelmed, the Red Sea world trip, especially. Only if he wanted a serious headache. Why couldn't he at least get the power to summon the unclean? This Goldfinger reward system was seriously flawed. There are currently no active containment breaches. The next predicted event will occur in 1 week. Host is required to compile and release an entry based on the materials provided by this system. Goldfinger finished, and suddenly a plethora of files appeared on Xie Yun's computer. Huh. Already? Give me a break. Can't a guy catch a breather? It's a week away, I'm taking 2 days off. A true professional procrastinator, Xie Yun dismissed the urgent request. He had a whole week, after all. He promptly collapsed onto his bed and drifted off to sleep. Simultaneously, electronic messages appeared on screens throughout various universes. Containment prediction complete. The next forecast will be available in 1 week. Until then. The message vanished as quickly as it arrived, leaving many bewildered. Aboard the Quinjet, Tony Stark was deep in thought. 1 week. I wonder what we're facing next. Time to ramp up our D. Sir, Colonel Rhodes is approaching. Jarvis announced. All right. Tony contacted Natasha, and the Quinjet hovered in place, opening its hatch to admit Rhodes. Meanwhile, in Asgard, Odin was testing the limits of Odin's armor. He relentlessly assaulted it with the Odin Force-imbued Spear of Odin. He considered his weapon, Odin's Spear, the most powerful in existence. Surely, it could pierce nearly anything in the universe, but his confidence was about to be shattered. No matter how much force he poured into his attacks, Odin's armor remained unscathed, without so much as a scratch. The artifact is shockingly strong. Odin stroked Odin's armor in disbelief, feeling no heat or residual energy from the assault. He glanced at the Belmont Divine Sword nearby. He had tested its might, and the results were terrifying. Nothing in Asgard could withstand it. Odin couldn't help but wonder if even the destroyer armor, powered to its maximum potential, could inflict meaningful damage to Odin's armor. The last time he felt this helpless was when facing the Celestials. Could the Odin who created this armor have strength on par with the Celestials themselves? Odin pondered, feeling defeated. How could an alternate version of himself be so formidable? Chapter 99 Banishing Thor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The more Odin considered it, the more a sense of dread washed over him. He hadn't realized the multiverse held such powerful forces. To think, there was an Odin out there whose power eclipsed his own. The weight of being king of the 9 realms suddenly felt crushing. He hadn't felt this way in ages. With this suit and my Odin force, even if I face the Celestials again, I'll have a fighting chance. Odin clenched his fists, a fire igniting within him, rekindling his ambition. He'd thought avenging his defeat at the hands of the Celestials was impossible, but now a glimmer of hope emerged. Lord Odin, Lord Atri, the Dwarf King, has arrived. A guard announced. Excellent. Hearing this, Odin grabbed his shirt and headed out. The dwarves of Nidavellir were the most skilled weapon makers in the 9 realms, crafting countless magical artifacts, including Odin's spear. Gungnir. Odin's purpose in summoning Atri was to have him study the shirt, to see if it could be replicated. Whoa! Lord Odin, where did you get this armor? I've never encountered a material like this. Even the finest resources on my planet don't compare. Atri exclaimed, astonished. He considered himself the top craftsman, able to understand any weapon instantly, but the moment he touched the shirt, it felt like he had opened the door to an entirely new realm. The deeper he examined it, the more intricate it became. He truly couldn't decipher its composition. Is there no way to duplicate it? Odin inquired. Atri shook his head, sighing in defeat. You're asking the impossible. I can't even source the raw materials for this thing, let alone find substitutes. Trying to imitate it with other materials would drastically reduce its effectiveness. And most importantly, I sense an incredible energy within it. I believe the armor's power comes from that energy. Without it, any imitation would just be a pretty piece of metal. Atri said helplessly. These challenges struck a blow to his confidence. Odin wasn't surprised. He had anticipated this outcome. His mind drifted back to the past, recalling the formidable armor worn by the Celestials, imbued with extraordinary energy. If only we could snatch their armor. What am I thinking? Odin realized he was getting ahead of himself, contemplating causing trouble for the Celestials. Such an action could have dire consequences. Lord Odin, a guard announced. Lord Thor has awakened. Good, just as well, Odin replied with slight relief. Although Thor acted rashly and nearly caused a catastrophe, he was still his son. However, he is currently very emotionally unstable. The guard's expression was uneasy. What do you mean? Odin frowned, a sense of foreboding creeping in. After waking up, Lord Thor demanded to return to the Red Sea world, saying he wanted to avenge his defeat and exact revenge. The guard reported. That idiot. Has he learned nothing? Odin's eyes widened in disbelief. After barely escaping with his life, instead of reflecting, he was acting impulsively. Odin was tempted to give his son a good thrashing. Take me to him, Odin roared, storming out of the hall in search of Thor. Meanwhile, Thor bolted out of the infirmary, determined to find Odin. Several guards, including Loki, trailed behind him, trying to restrain him. Treason! What are you doing? Odin descended from the sky, angrily confronting Thor. Father, please, allow me to return to that world, Thor pleaded as soon as he saw Odin. What are you planning to do? Odin yelled, his worry growing. I intend to destroy those monsters. I am Thor, the most valiant warrior in Asgard. I cannot accept such a defeat, Thor proclaimed furiously. You fool! Haven't you learned anything? Odin rebuked him, thoroughly displeased. Thor seemed stunned for a moment, silenced by his father's anger. Your recklessness led you to blindly enter that unknown world, nearly causing a major crisis. You almost got your friends killed. Odin began listing Thor's misdeeds. Oh, and don't forget, you disobeyed my orders and started a war with Jotunheim, and I haven't settled that score either. Thor, however, didn't seem to think he'd done anything wrong. Instead, he felt justified. I invaded Jotunheim to make the frost giants pay for attacking us. What's wrong with that? The only mistake was underestimating the unknown world. If I had led a proper army, I would have conquered them already, Thor retorted stubbornly. And I entered that other world to expand Asgard's territories and rescue those people suffering, as befits the king of Asgard. Asgard doesn't need to expand its territories. Besides, you're not the king yet. Odin raised his voice even louder. I thought you were ready, but I was wrong. You are not fit to be king, nor are you even fit to be a prince. Hearing his father declare him unworthy struck a deep blow to Thor's ego. He felt deeply aggrieved. He considered himself the strongest warrior in Asgard besides Odin. How could he be so diminished after being admired by everyone? And what about you? As a king, you are threatened by your enemies, yet you refuse to fight back. Has age made you a coward? Thor, emboldened by his anger, dared to insult his father. Loki and the other nearby guards exchanged shocked glances, their mouths agape, unsure of what to say. The atmosphere became thick with tension. Odin remained silent, showing no outward anger. However, everyone sensed that this was merely the calm before the storm. Thor also realized he had gone too far, but he couldn't take back his words. He simply glared at Odin, defiant. Buzz buzz. Suddenly, a buzzing sound filled the air. Odin's shirt floated down from above, hovering directly over everyone's heads. In an instant, the shirt disassembled itself and transformed into countless pieces, which attached themselves to Odin's body. Odin, now clad in his shirt, a sword in his left hand and his spear in his right, appeared incredibly majestic, radiating an aura of immense power. Everyone present felt a crushing pressure, as if they could barely breathe. It seems I have indulged you for too long. Thor, I have decided that you will be exiled to Earth to reflect on your actions. Chapter 100 Going Out for a Run and Meeting Thor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Odin spoke, a blinding surge of energy erupted from him. Thor was caught in the blast and sent flying. Unable to resist, he shot out of the palace and hurtled towards the rainbow bridge like a shooting star, attracting attention all the way. Boom, boom, star. Thor crashed onto the rainbow bridge. Heimdall, standing nearby, was clueless about what had just happened. Then, as if by magic, Odin appeared beside them. No one saw him move. Father, Thor struggled to speak, his body drained. The blast had nearly killed him. Odin ignored his son's condition, grabbed Mjolnir, and, focusing his thoughts, pointed it at Thor. Instantly, Thor's power poured out of him, flowing into the hammer. Heimdall, lower the rainbow bridge to Midgard. Heimdall didn't hesitate. He plunged his sword into the control mechanism and lowered the bridge. With a wave of his hand, Odin unleashed a powerful storm that swept Thor into the Bifrost, giving him no chance to fight back. Then, Odin whispered to Mjolnir, "Whosoever is worthy shall possess the power of Thor." After bestowing the blessing, he hurled the hammer into the Bifrost. "I feel better," Odin remarked, observing himself. He had been preparing to enter the Odin sleep to regulate his divine power. He'd been feeling sluggish and weak lately, but wearing the Odin shirt seemed to stabilize his power. Perhaps it was the balance it provided, or perhaps he was becoming one with the shirt. Whatever the reason, as long as he wore it, he could avoid the Odin sleep. This was a relief. He feared what might happen while he was unconscious. The threat of contained objects was unnerving enough. Now, there was an unknown evil god with a penchant for doomsday scenarios. Who knew what would come next? So, Odin decided to wear the shirt at all times, using the opportunity to adapt to its power. Speaking of which, this armor is giving me feedback. God's armor? What is that? A warrior from another universe who served under me. As he wore the Odin armor, designs and blueprints of the armor flashed through his mind. He had never seen them before, but he knew they were called Shindo-e. It seemed the shirt granted not just power, but knowledge as well. He would need to study this further in the palace. Just then, Loki rushed in. Though he hadn't witnessed the main event, he understood what was going on. "Your brother needs to learn a lesson. Don't pull any of the same stupid stunts he did," Odin ordered as he passed Loki. "I understand, father. But, I need to ask you something." Loki hesitated, then slowly raised his sleeve. His wrist was turning into the icy skin of a frost giant. "What is this?" Odin's eyes widened, and he gasped. "It appeared while I was testing Frostmourne." "Am I cursed?" Loki's voice trembled. "Come with me." Odin grabbed Loki, and they vanished. Heimdall watched the scene unfold. "Lord Odin has become even more powerful," he mused. Meanwhile, in a dusty town in Mexico, on Earth, Thor landed hard, struggling to his feet. The loss of his divine power made it difficult even to stand. "Heimdall, lower the Bifrost." Thor yelled at the sky, trying to reach Heimdall, but his voice couldn't reach Asgard. Still, he refused to give up. "Heimdall. I know you can hear me. Lower the rainbow bridge now." "Out of the way." Suddenly, Xie Yun's voice echoed. Confused, Thor turned to see a figure rushing towards him. Boom, star. The impact sent Thor flying. "Oh, crap, I actually hit someone." Xie Yun stopped, bewildered. He hadn't felt like editing today, so he'd come out to test his abilities. The Weeping Angel's high-speed movement, the Little Fireman's fire-breathing, the carnivorous vines, summoning alien creatures, the Shy Ghost's immortality. With so many powers, he'd wanted to find a secluded place to experiment, ideally somewhere like this. He'd just been using high-speed movement, running around, and he'd thought this was that place. He hadn't expected to lose control and plow into someone. "Please don't let me have killed someone." Xie Yun hurried over to check on Thor. Luckily, he seemed alright. Huh. Wait, why does this face look so familiar? Xie Yun stared at Thor's face. It was strangely familiar. Then it hit him. This was the god of thunder. Hold on a minute, this environment, it was like the scene from Thor. Had he just stumbled into the moment Thor was exiled? What are the odds that he was excited to meet Thor, the first superhero he had come into contact with? Then, he suddenly remembered. Wait, I'm supposed to stick around here for a while. As he said this, headlights glared at him. He turned to see a car speeding towards him like a runaway train. At Tony Stark's mansion, Tony was reviewing information on the various contained objects, especially the Death Star and Weeping Angel, both currently imprisoned in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. The Death Star was difficult to contain. No metal seemed to hold it, requiring constant injections of freezing gas and anesthetics, and no matter how hard he studied the Weeping Angels, not even with the Void engine, he couldn't get any useful information. Jarvis, how are the projects I mentioned earlier coming along? Tony asked. Sir, cryoweapons, weather control devices, and enhancements to the Mark armor have all been designed. A comprehensive plan is ready. Jarvis reported. Good, let's start acquiring materials for manufacturing. We need more power. Tony stood up and accessed the gene pool within the Void engine. He had found a vast collection of alien genes. According to the information available, each one was more powerful than human genes. With the Earth facing increasingly frequent crises, he had to evolve. Void engine, I want to transform myself using angel genes. Tony declared. As an American, he naturally held angels in high regard and wondered what it would be like to become one.